Welcome back to another episode of That Range Rover Show, sometimes about golf, episode 86. Oh man, a lot going on this show. I don't even know where to start.
Where do we start?
First and foremost, this is Chris's YouTube channel. That's him over there.
Hey everybody.
Whichever way we point, I always get it wrong.
I get it wrong every time too.
Subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified.
Yeah.
What am I missing? I always feel
like the video,
it feels stupid to ask for that before the video even gets going. So, but if you're just a friend,
at some point while you're watching this video, if you like it,
yeah, that's a good way to say it.
You should hit it. But, we're really just trying to, it's more of an efficiency thing. I think just do it now and then you don't have to worry about doing later. Like we were just talking about that,
I'm due for the speech. When I like a YouTube program or station or channel, however you want to look at it.
Yeah.
I'll like their video just to help them out, help them in the algorithm, etc. Right. So, if you're just feeling supportive of two nice guys who sometimes like to talk about golf, do it. Just hit the like. We'd really appreciate it. And then, maybe you have something to weigh in on. Leave a comment below or just say, hey, I'm from this. This is where I live in the world and I'm watching your show.
Yeah. I had someone from the UK comment on a recent video.
Jolly good. The UK. So one thing I've learned in no other fashion than just years of being on the internet and knowing people in the golf internet world all over the world.
Sure.
The UK loves YouTube golf. They love YouTube for it's wild. I think like Mark Crossfield, Rick Shields, I don't really care for either of them.
Yeah.
And they're huge, obviously. And they're big outside of just the UK, but their UK audience is still very big. And it's because for whatever reason, man, people in the UK love their golf YouTube. So that's cool. That's really interesting. Whereas I read a lot in forums and what have you, where people in the US tend to like to read it, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, a forum, a website, etc. They like to read to consume their information and what have you. And they'll watch videos and stuff, but wonder if it's something to do with short attention spans and, Americans versus the rest of the world. I don't know, but that is interesting. I think so. If you're from the UK watching a show, hello.
Yeah. Hi.
Welcome. It's nice to see you.
Sorry that we sound funny.
It's 2:45 in the morning where you guys are as we're recording this. So yeah, anyway, do that. Hey, leave a comment below. Tell me where you're from or something. That's engaging. All right. So
yeah.
We got that out of the way. Chris, do you want to talk about the our points bet outing we're working on here?
Can I yeah, we'll get to that. I don't know if you'll be able to see this or not, but I just realized as I was making a drink, my glass cracked.
Oh.
This is a cracked glass right here that I'm drinking out of. That's a real bummer because I really like this glass. Anyways, I know how he did it too, and it was the ice banging against the other side of the glass because glass is really. I like to get. It's funny because I think places I like to go, a nice, and I'm looking at one right now. Thus the staring off camera here. A nice keepsake that I'll always remember this place by. Well, I'm not a glass collector. Mm-hmm.
I like to get a nice rocks glass. Rarely a pint glass or something because at home I kind of have my glass I like to drink beer out of if I'm going to.
Okay.
But the amount of I just took it out of the dishwasher and I'm sure well, don't dishwash it, but it's no, it's a dishwasher friendly glass and it's just broke. Or I was putting glasses away in the cabinet and I barely nicked it and half the wall caved in.
It's good to hear because I'm notorious in this house for breaking glasses. I break at least once a month. I break a glass one way or the other, putting it into the dishwasher, taking it out of the dishwasher, obviously having ice in a glass and hitting the other side of the glass.
That's another good one too. We have the ice machine on the refrigerator and it's good or on the freezer. It's good enough where you can just lightly touch it and have one glass go in and it's not a big or one ice go in. God,
right.
one ice cube go in the glass.
Right. It doesn't dump the whole bucket in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And one cube will just like hit just enough, and it'll like hit the bottom of the glass, yet somehow half the top shatters off. Right. So I can relate.
Yeah. Yeah. And this was a free glass, so I guess I'm not too heartbroken about it, but I do like it. I think now I only have one left.
I don't think it's about the cost and what have you.
No,
it's so for instance, it's Oktoberfest season, and I was just telling the proprietor of my local establishment, he a couple of years ago made like Oktoberfest tankard glasses with the store's logo on them.
Sure.
And I got one for like, I think they were like $7 or $6 or something.
Okay.
And I drank every beer out of that glass when I had. It's just my beer drinking glass, whether it's an IPA, a lager, a generic trashy beer, an Oktoberfest, a stout, all these things like, well, you're having a stout, you should have in this type of glass, whatever. Like, no, they all were in my tankard. Well, one day it was sitting on my grill on the other side. It's like I didn't see it, and so I was moving the grill, and it just slipped on my driveway and shattered.
Yeah.
And I was so upset about it. I'm like, it's not about I can't get another cool beer glass. It's not that Lord knows I have plenty of them. I have a Butler pint glass. I got a Chicago Golf Club pint glass. I got cool beer glasses, bro.
Right.
But it's not the same. Like that was my go-to.
Your go-to. Right.
And so even it's like, fine, it was a free glass, or like someone paid you to take it from them, but it just comes to be your glass that you like to drink out of, and now it's got a crack in it.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Okay, points bet. The points bet thing. As this thing drops on Thursday, what is going to be the 24th? 23rd. Okay, so you'll have basically until the 25th. We have to turn the head count in on the 25th. So whenever you're watching this, if it's real time, you have to act quickly. But here's the deal. We're hosting an outing at Dubs Dread at Cog Hill Golf Course, basically for $50. Okay. Now here's the catch. The $50 goes towards a PointsBet account. So you download the app, and if you don't know what PointsBet is, it's a gambling app. You gamble on sports and whatever. I've been very successful lately, William, with it, I must say. You just hit a few parlays. You hit a couple $20 3-game parlays, and that's it, man. You're good. And you can immediately withdraw the money. It's great. Anyways, if you download the app and register using the code DUBS, DUBS, deposit $50, and then make any wager that you want to. And by the way, PointsBet will match whatever you deposit up to $1,500. So this is a pretty good deal. Now, there's one caveat which we're experiencing is the difficult piece of registering. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're not in Illinois, let's say you're in Wisconsin and you want to come down, that's all you need to do. You don't need to do anything else other than register using Dubs, deposit $50, make a bet. Boom. You're good. Do
they have a book in Wisconsin?
You don't need a book in Wisconsin.
Interesting. So I was going to ask questions like
Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, you register, you're good. You do not need to go. You don't need to take that extra Illinois step.
Okay.
In Illinois, for whatever reason, they make you jump through one more hoop, and that is you have to go to one of the PointsBet locations. There are 3 of them in Illinois. You have to go into the parking lot at least. You have to be within their sort of radius, a certain radius, and then you can officially register. I did it on the way to Beverly when we played Beverly. I cruised past whatever location. Took me 10 seconds. I went into the parking lot, registered, out of the parking lot, on my way. So that's the one caveat to PointsBet, only in Illinois. Well, as far as I know, only in Illinois.
Okay.
I don't know why they do that. Don't yell at me or yell at Bill about it. It's not our rule. Okay. It's Illinois' rule. Call your congressman, call your representative, make them change it. I don't know what to tell you. Anyways.
Well, and it gets real particular too. Like there's a reason. So for instance, we found this out today, for instance, there's a location in Prospect Heights, which is near, it's north of O'Hare Airport, the big one in Chicago. Okay.
Right.
And, you can go there and finish registering, sign up, get your $50 or more deposited. You're golden.
Right.
Same company has a location in Oak Brook Terrace, DuPage County.
Yeah.
Can't go there and do it though.
Right.
So I don't understand. If you have an account, you can go already. You can go place bets there, but you can't, for whatever reason, verify at that location. So it seems.
Yeah.
It's a wild, confusing thing that it's not PointsBet. It's not.
No, totally.
It's not you.
It's just the way it is. So Illinois, that's the one hoop you have to jump through. But if you do it, you can join us. We're going to play October 3rd at Dubs Dread. 10 a.m. is the first tee time. Bill and I will be there. Adam Unfiltered is going to be there. The Riv, the nephew, is going to be there. It's going to be a who's who of all your people, really. And Bill has procured some prizes for some of you that will be playing there from a couple of our friends.
Yeah, might as well contribute to it a little bit.
Yeah. So if you haven't done it already, if you're planning on doing it, I know some people have done like most of the steps. They still have to go to a place. Hurry up and go and get it over with, and so that we can all go play golf. And there's a rumor that maybe I'll buy drinks, afterwards, which is fine. Who cares? It's just money. I'll just make more of it later.
Do you think there's any way? I'm trying to think of you guys in your travels. I wonder, I'm like, hey, can you just log in as me and register me? Thanks. Appreciate it.
I don't think that'll work.
Damn.
First of all, it's probably illegal somehow.
Oh, yeah.
And second of all, I mean, I'd have to have your phone.
It's like, do you have gambling problems? They put that like
right.
disclosure on everything. Like, what about identity stealing problems?
Right. Not that big a deal. All right. So that's the PointsBet reminder. Thank you for everyone that's already registered. And thank you for those that are going to. Can't wait to meet you and play golf with you. And I will prove that being good at golf is not a prerequisite of having a golf YouTube channel.
Right. It's not at all. Definitely isn't.
No.
All right. So before we dive into some topics, do we also want to talk about, I feel like this show's a little state of the union ish here, which is fine. It's that time. I feel like it's weird. Golf is a weird industry. It's like you just had the FedEx Cup. Ryan French, Monday Q Info, tweeted like he loves golf more than anybody, but God, please, can we just have an off season? He's not wrong.
No, I don't know.
I could not have cared any less. And it's too bad because it's kind of an exciting finish with some
apparently I heard it was cool.
The A list necessarily, but definitely the B+ list or maybe A- list, either way of names.
Yeah.
A handful of them competing, people that are of interest. And then obviously the recent Korn Ferry Tour graduates getting their debuts. So sure. I'm not saying there wasn't anything exciting about it, but I'm like, I just could not have cared any less about a PGA golf tournament this past weekend. And, but anyway, so there's a little buzz there anyway. We have the Ryder Cup coming up here. And,
starting today as we're dropping the episode.
No, it starts tomorrow. It starts on Friday.
Oh, it starts on Friday. Sorry. Oh, yeah, it does start on Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
My Ryder Cup starts on Thursday.
A lot of buzz. Everyone's excited about it. But it's weird how if you look at like the usual gear release schedules and course maintenances around the world, like September and October are a weird dead season. Then the winter hits and it gets really quiet, but at least you start getting that buzz of like new gear coming out, planning your trips for the next season, whatever it might be. But there's just like, I don't know about you. I had my last, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but like my last outing of the year, until the Dubs Dread one, but like this big outing. It's definitely the wind down period,
Well, for us, yeah. The Midwest, certainly. Yeah.
But I think I feel like even the rest of the country where, all right, I know like members of clubs in the hot states, this is, their clubs are opening back up and they start approaching normalcy, but it's also where they're like, stay away from here. This is our time now, you tourists, get out of my club.
Yeah.
It's just a weird time. Anyway.
I agree. There needs to be a golf off season. I don't know anyone. Maybe it's just because of who I follow. I don't know. I follow like-minded humans, but hey, if you love the wraparound schedule, by all means, comment and make the case. But I don't know why you would do that. Why would you? I guess I know why the PGA does it, because it's for money. But
Right.
but I don't know. Yeah, just give us a couple weeks to take a breath here.
I think even the wraparound season used to have a lot more buzz than it does now.
Sure.
But I don't know. What do I know? What do I know?
I mean, I watch golf every weekend, but last weekend I was like, no, man. I mean, yeah. Plus, like you're going up against the NFL, not starting things off, and it's just, I don't know why you would want to do any of that. Just take the week off and relax. And then if with a Ryder Cup year, just let the Ryder Cup build for 2 weeks. Who cares? Make it a Super Bowl. Make it, they got a week off and then they play the Ryder Cup. Like, do it that way.
Even so, I woke up super early Sunday and I'm like one of those late enough, I'm not falling back asleep, but early enough, I'm going to be dead. Sure. And so I go downstairs, got a new TV finally, and I'm like, oh, cool, European Tour events on. I didn't recognize a single name, and I like to think as like a nerd who
I watch every morning. I watch the Euro Tour every morning.
I'll recognize guys who are like Euro guys that never sniffed the PGA Tour or whatever. Yeah. But I'm like, Thomas Peters was like around 8th place. Yeah. I'm like, I know that name. Yeah. And that was it. Speaking of, man, that guy, talk about a guy who just disappeared.
Yeah.
He had that one run where I think fairly quick out of leaving University of Illinois. And then if you like just disappeared, which is too bad. He was fun. I liked him. He was a fun personality, good player. Maybe I just need to watch more Euro events, I guess.
Are you do you want to make it public of your adoration and love for the Euro team? I mean, you will be rooting for your guy Ian, who's back.
Yep.
Okay.
Tommy Fleetwood and his glorious hair. Did you see any of the stuff today? Because he was with like the European guys coming over, whatever. And I'm like, they all just kind of look like golf dorks. And then there's this Tommy Fleetwood with that glorious hair.
The Ryder Cup thing is such an odd, like the European team, even though like the US has, by, I guess, the rankings or what have you, you look at their roster and you're like, oh my God, this is murderer's row.
Yeah.
But then that European team, man, it's just like you see those guys and you know those names and you've seen them do what they do, and they would be like 7-point favorites over and you know what I mean? Like they have that swagger to them. They have that, you talk about these names that I don't know. It's so irrelevant what they do on the tour. It seems like when it comes down to Ryder Cup match play, they rake.
I don't have a good feeling for the European team this year, and for no other reason than like sixth sense intuition. I like, don't ask me to explain it. I don't
have much of a feeling for the U.S. or a feel for the U.S. team either. Like these guys are so, I don't know.
This is going to be quite the exciting Ryder Cup.
This is we'll see what happens, I guess.
Did you see that European team or like hype video that dropped today?
Yeah, I did.
That was another glorious
piece
of European production.
Good at that stuff. I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also,
that concludes the PGA talk for this episode.
No, it doesn't.
Sorry.
For the Ryder Cup in Kohler, at Kohler, I'm embarrassed to say, I'm like, where would they stay for that? I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. There's this 1,000 on-site resorts there.
They're not going anywhere. Right.
They can stay in the dusty American, whatever it's called, which looks delightful.
American Club? Is that what it's called?
I think so.
Yeah.
Not as I say American Inn, but I think it is American Club.
I think it's called American Club. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what it's, I'm not a good fit for that location, and that's on me, not them. So I got past that, but I'm like, where do they fly in? Do you think? Milwaukee,
right?
Do you think is a Milwaukee International? Like, could you take your first?
I guess if it's a chartered flight,
I mean, by the looks of it, it was a larger plane, and Padraig Harrington was addressing.
I'm pretty sure they flew into Milwaukee. They didn't fly into O'Hare. I can tell you that.
You say that like you were there and had people on the ground just in case.
I'm just telling you, I would have known. I think we would have known. We would have known. They also would have flown in yesterday because they wouldn't have. I can't imagine they would have flown in and then gotten to a bus and drove up to to Whistling Straits.
Well, then I'm thinking, would they fly to Milwaukee from O'Hare, which seems crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. Milwaukee's international. So I spent a stupid amount of daydreaming time on that today, which was probably an easy
just the logistics of it all. Right.
Yeah. And it's like, you're literally at the computer daydreaming. You could just Google basic logistics to easily surmise what likely happened. And I didn't because I'm in La La Land. So that took up some space. All right. Now we can conclude PGA talk. God, I feel like I sound like I'm drunk trying to say basic words. I haven't drank a drop of alcohol in 2 days. Maybe that's the problem.
That's the problem. Now
do we want to talk about what we are, I guess, in our State of the Union show, like what we're considering giving a shot here and steering this show versus the gear portion of stuff we talk about and cover that at all, or do you just want to let it happen organically?
No, I mean, I think we've always been pretty straightforward with our audience about how we're still figuring things out and still we like to tinker. I think there's a lot of tinkerers out there. We tinker with our swings and our gear, and the show is no different. So I got scolded because Chris gave me a camera to use before this show, and I'm not tinkering enough with it. But he's not, ladies and gentlemen. He's really half-assing.
Scolded it,
man. A Canon camera doesn't matter who paid for it. Okay, I still get it.
I'm sitting here asking what camera I should buy. Like, I'm clearly committed to this, but I got scolded for it. We're tinkerers, guys. We're tinkerers. It's always ongoing. That's how much we're always tinkering. So we're tinkering with the show.
Anyways, I will pull this thing right over, William, and I will take back my camera that I didn't buy from you.
You're more than welcome to.
Anyways, so we're going to do something. We're going to see how it works out, right? So this is going to be a show about this show, That Range Life. A show sometimes about golf will be this conversational, topical, that sort of thing. Every once in a while, we'll sprinkle in maybe a guest or maybe an Ask Andy or maybe Ask Uncle Bill or what have you. But we're going to take the Gear Talk segments and we are going to spin them off into their own show. So it's our second spinoff, so to speak. So we had That Range Life on Course, which is a spinoff, and now we're That Range Life Gear Talk. So we're basically we're like Dick Wolf building all the Chicago PD and Chicago Fire and Chicago MDs or CSIs. Pick your favorite, not NCIS though.
Okay.
Not NCIS.
Noted.
That show is trash. But yeah, so we're going to spin Gear Talk off into its own show. We don't know what that's going to look like yet. We have a list of things.
Yeah.
But we will start rolling those out, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think that's fair to be clear on. We really don't know what they're going to look like.
It'll be Bill and I together as much as humanly possible to do the Gear Talks. And the Gear Talks will be the same thing. Sometimes maybe we'll have a guest on there. I think, most often we probably won't. It'll just be us analyzing and testing some stuff and giving you some detail, right, about some gear. But yeah, I mean, we'll see.
And I think, hey, if you have any ideas on what you would like to see, if you've watched previous episodes, what would you like, taking the gear stuff and containerizing it? What would you like it to look like in that container? How do you want us? And I already can be people are gonna be like, oh, get a TrackMan. Like, listen, we have FlightScope Mevos. We don't have TrackMan.
We may have access to another FlightScope.
Fair.
That we can use.
Point is, we don't have $30,000 to buy a TrackMan and lug it with us everywhere.
No, not yet. That's why we ask you to subscribe and hit the bell every episode.
Correct. We're almost there. But if you have ideas on how you'd like us to do that, talk about things you'd like to see, we have some ideas. We're going to wing it, see how they go. And
yeah,
like we've been saying about tinkering, we'll see what works, doesn't work. But we think people, I personally feel with this show, people either come to this show for the characters, the stories, the you name it, or they come for the gear stuff. And it's like, oh, I don't care about Duncan Keith being traded to the Edmonton Oilers.
Right.
I don't care about, Chris and starting his own yeast strain for his sourdough.
Right.
Right. They just wanted to hear about the Fujikura MC putter shaft, and that's what they're here for. So, the good news is, you can still get both. If you're into both of them, you can get both pieces of content. But we'll separate. We're going to try separating it out into one place. And who knows, if it doesn't work, we'll put it all back together or something. I don't know.
But that's why you hit the bell. Hit the bell.
Right. You put out, we'll talk about more later, I guess, in the plugs, but the McEwen reviews it of the Cleveland fairway wood. Yeah. So, who knows? Maybe we'll just take that and do something similar. Maybe Chris will do that, and then we'll kind of come together and discuss it. We don't know. True to our form, we will show up to their first time probably with a list of like 4 things that we're going to work on and just see how it goes. That's what we're going to do.
That'd be fun.
And then I'll get yelled at about not having to owe people something, whatever. I'm like, we don't owe anything. We're trying something new.
I tell you a lot of stuff in confidence.
Yes, confidence.
And you just love to throw it out on this show.
Oh,
I give you some of my deepest, most sincere feelings.
Those were not sincere. Those were not deep feelings. It's not deep feelings.
Anyways, if you're looking for a gear talk in this show in episode 86 or beyond, you may not find it. So that's the Cliff's notes of this whole thing.
But as Chris said, hit the bell, because when we post one, you'll get it. You'll get it. And we have been, I feel like a dork saying this, but we've been stockpiling. We have some things to get working on, whatever. Because we had this idea of brewing and said, all right, we got to make a clean cut at some point. So that's what we're doing.
Correct. And just like everything else in the show, it's on a weird numbered episode, 86. It's not like a clean break. It's not like 85 or 90. Like, no, 86. Like when we celebrated our 77th episode or whatever it was.
I can't believe, admittedly, we have a skipped week or two. Mathematically, we are over a year and a half into doing this. I thought about that the other day. So we didn't record on Sunday, largely because it was my wedding anniversary on Sunday. So I'm like, she's not going to be super pumped. I'm like, well, I'm disappearing for the night, which is reasonable. And I'm like, I vaguely remember last year being like, hey, I'm going out for my wedding anniversary. I can't do this night or something along those lines.
Sure.
And I can't remember. And I'm thinking like it was during the pandemic. What did we do? I think we went and like had a cocktail outside or something. That's going to drive me nuts the rest of the night. Great. But I was like, God, that was we've done a lot of shows. So
we have done a lot of shows.
Yeah. 86. That's the time to make a decision. But I mean, again, to your point, it's funny how you learn how the weird way the learning curve of all this and how, what was it, December this past year where we kind of went, we're seeing how some things work different and we made some changes and it really, it's weird because it's not so much like on my website there. I'm not saying it can't change and people don't like to see other stuff, but it's sort of a tried and true formula. Whereas I think with YouTube, really YouTube more than anything right now, it's just always changing and always just find little tweaks and what catches and what doesn't. So, we'll see. I could see this show maybe getting a little less engagement, but hopefully the other things we have in mind and we're working on, Gear Talk and otherwise, will, I think, be more engaging to people and possibly attract them to the other silly things like this that we like to do.
Sure.
We'll see. And again,
that's obviously what's going to happen.
we get the guests on this show and what have you.
Yeah.
People more want to see, insert golf personality here, let their hair down and have a conversation a bit. Yeah, it's going to be here, not on Gear Talk.
Right.
Gear Talk likely going to be your typical our spin on a typical golf equipment focused golf nerd content, right?
Yes.
We're not capable, I think, of being that guy, so it'll only be that so much. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about some real things.
Okay.
We did a lot of the golfs this past. It's funny every year. There's something about everybody trying to cram in the end of the golf season where late August to early October is just my golf season. Like just get hammered with things. So I had a big outing this past week. I've won it a handful of times. In the past, we did not have the team for it this year, but that was a lot of fun. And then I had some thoughts of it, but we'll just move on. Then this past week, I went to Michigan with Jon Heise from Drive Range Heroes, and I went to Twitter legend. And I it sounds like it was a joke. And even when I was talking to this gentleman and saying this, I'm like, no, I'm not kidding. You have a gift of this, of course reviews on Twitter, Brian Tweed at
That's
Brian Tweed, Bryan Tweed, like the jackets,
right.
16 on Twitter.
Correct.
This guy and his ability to perfectly, while I don't always agree with them per se, perfectly sum up his golf experiences and give you a whole picture of a course or a round of golf or whatever in 200 and what is it, 240, 240, 280 characters on Twitter, often much less.
Yep.
And 4 pictures.
Right.
4 pictures, 280 characters or less. He's so good at it.
He is. He's very good at it. It's true.
And he does like a little more long form stuff. I want to say for Golf Pass.
Yeah. Is he still doing the Golf Pass stuff?
I don't know if he is as much.
Yeah, I know he was. He was really good at that too.
But it wasn't like, I'll be honest, it's not as interesting to me. Right. And the reason being his ability to perfectly do it in so few characters and so cleverly is wildly impressive.
Yeah.
So I went to Michigan with these 2 gentlemen and we played Oakland Hills Country Club. They have 2 courses there, the north and the south. The south was recently redone by Gil Hans.
Okay.
And he was restoring the original championship Donald Ross, like everything. These were 2 Ross courses going back to like 1916 and 1920 something or 30 something, somewhere there.
Okay.
And the south course, I mean, they've had like, it's something like 6 U.S. Opens, 3 PGA championships, a 2004 Ryder Cup, tons in amateur events, tons of tournaments. And the Ross factor had gotten lost over there, so that he came in and restored it as close as he could to the original design. Supposedly, it's awesome. We could see it and look at it from the clubhouse. It looked amazing, but we played the other course, which was kind of sad because you could see, it was still lovely. Don't get me wrong.
Of course. Right.
But you could see a lot of like the Donald Ross bones and, RIP Arthur Hills has been in there. And I forgot someone else has been in there. And you can just see, you're like, there's so much of the Ross stuff just gone.
Yeah.
Or hidden or something. Yeah. And a lot
lost.
of it doesn't need to be, and it's like just a little maintenance, but all their bread and butter is put into the South course. And it's like one of the richest communities in counties in America.
Right.
So they have the membership, tons of Detroit Tigers, tons of current and past Red Wings, and other NHL players. I'll just leave it at that. But some of the names I've seen on these lockers, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Is half the Hockey Hall of Fame in here? So I'm hoping they get to restoring this North course. It's, it needs it. It needs it bad. Another interesting thing we observed it's fascinating how you go to different states and their clubs operate different. I would say this place is probably, it's hard to make a direct equivalent, but it like reminds me a lot of Olympia Fields or Medina here in terms
really?
of the like panache.
Yeah, right.
And the vibe.
Is that I was gonna say, yeah, panache probably gives it, well, in my mind anyways, too much credit.
What?
I don't see it as
I don't know what you mean.
Well, panache is like you mean like fanciness. Is that what you mean? Like, or do you mean just sort of you know, kind of the proletariat sort of very you know,
solid use of proletariat, by the way.
You know, very fancy, sort of high end, very almost.
Well, and it's supposed to have
stuffy sort of environment.
Well, and I wouldn't. It's hard to say if it wasn't stuffy because or not, because really we don't know. The locker room manager was awesome. The guys in the pro shop are awesome. That's like really all we had to deal with.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
okay.
We didn't deal with any like marshals on the course or rangers or anything like that. Private club, not uncommon.
Sure.
There's like no starter.
Did it just feel like? Did it just had the feel of Olympia Fields?
Well, the clubhouse is massive and it has every kind of facility within the clubhouse you could ever imagine.
Sure. Okay.
So there's a little bit of that like amusement park, you know, get a escape kind of a thing for the membership that these places have. So, you know, and I would say like the history and quality and size of the golf. That's sort of what I mean. And it definitely is like an elite clientele from the area, whether it's, you know, athletes, business, you name it.
Yeah. Is it like invite only? Like, do you have to have a member vouch for you?
Don't know. So Brian was our in there.
Yeah.
They didn't make us play with a member. Really the only guidance we had the entire time we were there was from the locker room manager. And the locker room manager guy was awesome. He gave us a tour of the clubhouse that he didn't need to do.
Yeah, that is awesome.
So like he was great, but yeah, otherwise like one member who was playing as a single that we let play through was about the only engagement with like staff and membership we really had there.
Okay.
Like we couldn't even get like a Gatorade at the halfway house on our course. And they're like, no, we don't take cards or cash or anything. You're like, okay, well,
you just need a number. That was it, huh? You couldn't actually buy anything.
And we're like, let's just say we obviously had a way out there. We belonged out there that day. You know what I mean?
Right.
I won't go into the details of it just because it's not my business to do so.
Sure.
But it's just very weird. And I'm like, you know, this would never happen at Olympia or Medina. And I don't mean it like better or worse. It's just different places. And the culture is just so different. You know what I mean?
Sure. Of course.
I'd never seen anything like that, even at like junkie clubs around us, you know?
I mean, think about where I don't know if I can say the name or not, but like when we played at a very historic and, you know, private golf course, big name.
I think you already said it on the show when you're talking about PointsBet.
Okay, never mind then.
Well, I'm not. I didn't think we were being. I'm sorry. I just didn't think we were
being
enough. Secret.
I mean, okay. Anyways, go ahead.
Okay,
finish.
No, no, my point's finished. I was just saying. Sorry.
No, yeah, it's fine. Whatever. I mean, it's fine. I don't have anything else to add to that conversation now because I was going to make a comp. I'll make this comp and I'll move it onto like this hat here that I went and played Flossmoor Golf Club again. One of my favorite private courses to go play. Shout out to my pal Marco. And you know, Off played with me and Riv got out. You couldn't go because you were in Michigan.
Off took me a second. You got it.
Yeah. We can't say, we don't pronounce.
No, I was thinking OFF and I'm like, okay. I got it. AUF, got it. Yeah.
And you know, you talk about a vibe, and the vibe of, you know, FGC is like just super chill, man. It's such a laid back joint. Like, it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I think it's an active effort to like kind of be that way. But like, I've only ran into a member here or there. This is the first time I ever actually went to the clubhouse and wandered around. But you kind of just felt like it was, you're just comfortable there. It was nice.
Which is like, I have to tell you, like, that's what baffled me about this experience. And to be fair, it could just be like, hey, just weird collisions of people that day, and just like it wasn't on its A game. And I'm not even getting into the maintenance crew that Brian Tweed had a fight going on about.
Do you want to tell that story?
Not on this.
Okay. It sounded, I don't know, man. It sounds like it was amazing.
It was wild.
Yeah.
But to your point, I'm like, even the places where I have felt so unwelcomed, private places where I'm like, my kind is clearly not up.
Yeah, I mean,
wanted here, whatever. And I still, it's like, there's still at least like a, hey, here's where you go. Here's what you do. We're not like, look, even if, even I think of places where it's like, hey, you're an unaccompanied guest, so you pay like $600 a person. Yeah. They still usher you around their institution.
You still paid $600 and they're going to, right.
And so I think about, when you talk about Flossmoor being like, specifically Flossmoor, when you talk about the experience and what it's like being there, I have to imagine you had a polar opposite, total different experience.
Yeah. And it's hard, like to your point, it's hard to make that sort of like, you don't want to label something one time you go, like you said, like bad day, off day, whatever. And that's your one experience for the rest of your life. That's not really, but like Flossmoor, now I've gone multiple times with and without people that, play the course or belong to the course. And yeah, it's just like every time people are just super chill. And we gotta get out one more time. I know you're just saying like August, September, October is like everyone pushes, it's like, well, the golf season.
It usually ends by like really right around our outing coming up.
Okay.
But think of us, we're playing basically until the snow and freeze.
Yeah. But Flossmoor closes.
Well, right. But I just mean golf in general. So we can like, sneak out, we go beyond October 3rd.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just want you to experience these greens, because the greens on this golf course, man, boy, they are something special.
You've only played it. I'm only right in quotes.
Yeah.
You've only played it this year and last year, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
maybe you do, maybe you don't. Or it's just like, yeah, well, so you've been told, but I'd be interested in somebody maybe could speak to the experience. I have to tell you, because it's always been pretty available to see on social media in terms of course condition and just what it looks like. I mean, going back well beyond the new ownership, et cetera.
Yeah.
It looks like it could be in the best condition it's been in like the last decade.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they have done so much work on that place. So I think I told you, well, they've done a ton of tree removal, to try to restore it to its original sort of look and feel. Obviously, you're going to have trees or whatever, but it's still an ongoing effort. Every year they allocate budget to tree removal. I think I've been there 3 years in a row now, right? I don't know. Anyways, so they've done that, and then they've really they're restoring. They're still in the process, I think, of restoring the greens to their original sizes.
Okay,
and that includes squaring off some of the fronts and extending the backsides of them. And they're just these giant greens.
Are they looking at like original pictures and plans for it, or are they just like kind of guessing based off of?
No, I want to say Marco. I think they said they had some original drawings and aerials and things like that. And they're doing their best to sort of try to truly restore these greens.
Nice.
So yeah, it's pretty cool, man. The squared off greens are they're just cool. They just look cool. Like, on some of these holes where it's all false front stuff.
Is that the only place you've really seen that?
No. Beverly had a couple squared off greens, didn't they?
Oh yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's right.
Skokie.
Beverly, they're not
Skokie
too
has a couple.
okay. They're
Yeah.
not too extreme at Beverly though, but
no.
I think of like, so I've seen them at Butterfield. I've seen them at I'm trying to think. I feel like Lasonia may have snuck one or two in.
Maybe.
But
yeah.
the big
not like square, but like just in
no, I know
front.
what you mean.
Yeah,
where you have like a weird right angle.
Yeah. Right.
And then they can get like real crazy with it when you see them at other courses, like how they shave them off and bend them into bunkers. It's wild. Yeah. But like Chicago Golf Club squared off in a lot of places. Yeah. Arcadia Bluff South course, because they're trying to do the whole like they were trying to recreate a Chicago Golf Club vibe, and same thing. But when you see it really extreme and just a nice, solid, large scale 90-degree angle that just like abruptly ends into a bunker or rough or something, it's almost like unsettling.
You're right. It is kind of. Maybe
and I don't mean that. I mean that like in a good way.
No, totally. And but it also feels old. You know what I mean? Like it feels like this course has been here for a long time. Just don't see that on these newer courses. Like
think about how
Pete Dye. Like I played the Pete Dye course.
Pete Dye, yeah.
There's no square edges on those things, right? Like not a thing. Like the newer golf course is just not a thing.
It was so you would have had cricket pitches and croquet and
right.
Frankly, soccer fields. You have to think at some point, it was these original golf courses going back to Europe, right? Were guys just going out into grass and basically like cutting down and shaving down grass,
right?
And saying here to there, here's easier places to hit the ball, here's harder places to hit the ball,
right?
And I would assume that has something to do with the origins of these rectangles and the maintenance and like how do you keep the space confined? You just make a box, and that you didn't have all the fancy mowers and stuff they have now.
I was gonna say, think of like how golf courses were built back then, and think about how it was played. Like it was more of a ground game, So like, you were rewarded if you could run it up the middle of this area onto the green.
Yeah, it is. So you know what you mean? Like it is weird. You're just looking at it and you go, what is this?
Right.
That's cool.
It's pretty fun. Yeah. And they're just wicked fast, and they're really, really fun greens. I made a joke. I think we were three or four holes in, and each of us at that point had 3-putted on one of the greens. And I said, like, before there's this game, I think it's called Snake, where you basically like take a poker chip or whatever, and the person that 3-putts holds the chip. And then when someone else 3-putts, you hand it off, and whoever's, holding the chip at the end of 18 holes has to pay whatever, right, to each of the other players, or takes the pot, or the other 2 players split the pot, whatever it is. Because we were just baffled by these greens, either big breaks or just, I don't think we left a putt less than 2 feet short, or 2 feet past the hole. Like everything rolled out 5 feet, everything rolled out 6 feet just because of where these pins were. Just a really fun course. And you're going to use, I want you to see it. I just want you to like go and check it out, because I think you'll appreciate all the different sort of shots that you have to make, all the different clubs you have to use. It's just fun. It's just a fun place.
Yeah. I've always heard good things about it. So hopefully I'll step foot on it one day. It looks,
it's another great clubhouse. It's another old prairie style brick.
That's what I wanted to ask about, because I feel like the clubhouse in pictures is sort of unassuming. Yeah. When you so his first time being into it, I'm thinking about what you've told me in the new ownership and the sort of the revival of it. But I'm the worst, because I'm like, oh, we gotta keep these places in the game alive, but don't change anything.
That's the fascinating part of it, is that you walk into the clubhouse and you are back in time, man. It is, 1935 or something. Like it's that,
cool.
it's that. It's cool. It's super cool. And I think Adam said like this, when we walk into the locker room, he's like, this feels exactly like where I used to work when I was in high school.
Was he like, hey, we're at Alverton?
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, the locker room is, it's old and it's carpeted and it's the whole thing, right? It's got the weird, pattern on the floor. And, you walk through the two kind of big, sort of swinging doors into the restaurant. And, it's, dark wood, old pictures.
When you see that stuff, like, do you ever think it's like, think of how much we romanticize it and love it. And then you step and go, but wait a minute. If someone said like, I'll come turn your basement into this or your living room into this, I'm like, no, God, no.
No, I don't want to live in it. I just want to go and see it.
This carpet is
home.
This carpet is hideous. Those chairs are so ugly, but there's just something to do with that kind of space. You're like, oh no.
Yeah.
This
like I want to
perfect.
Yeah. It's so totally true, man. You walk in, you're like, yeah, I would hang out here for sure. And I didn't even go upstairs where they do have a lot of the newer renovations where they've got, I think there's like a simulator up there. There's some, suites that they've remodeled, some of the more modern creature comforts that the Chicago people are going to want, as members. But yeah, just that sort of, when you walk into the front door and you just traveled immediately back in time, man. It's crazy.
I got to get out there. For somebody who's like fun, man. Listen to this statement. I'm hearing it before I even say it. As somebody who's had some decent, I've already found a way to rephrase it, so it's not so bad. Who's had some decent luck getting on some cool courses over the past like 15 years or so.
Yeah.
And not out of like, oh, this isn't like that Chicago Golf Club, Butler, Bobo Link territory.
Sure.
Like it just hasn't gotten on my radar and it hasn't gotten across my path. Like it just hasn't.
Right.
The planets haven't aligned and just put me into it. Yeah. Which is too bad because I would have really liked to have seen it.
We were close this time. If you had just committed to your Michigan, trip, your day trip, when I was asking about the weekend game. And you couldn't make it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We just kind of just missed.
Well, we had the August one that fell through too.
That's also true.
And that one, I can't remember what, even the August one, we had like a collision of golf things. We're like, I don't know if this is going to work. I can't remember what they were. Oh, I do remember. And it was that other private course. That's historic. We're not saying by name.
Not when I'm going to give away you're such an asshole, man.
No, I don't think you did. That's the thing.
Okay.
I think I'm twisting it all up.
Okay.
I'm sticking with the bit. I can't wait to get a text too. Like when you're editing this book, no, you didn't twist it up. Like just rest assured. I genuinely think I did. So my intentions were not as nefarious as you think they are.
Fair.
Yeah, so we'll have to figure out Flossmoor. I will tell you, the historic golf nerd that says don't change anything, I am sort of upset in the deal to. I'm glad they saved the course, but I really wish they kept Flossmoor Country Club and the original like logo and all the old stuff because it's. Yeah, I'm such a dork.
Well, at the same time, it's a balancing act, right? I mean, they did reverse the 18 or reverse the 9s. You know what I mean? So like when you're going up, like you can see after you finish one, you can kind of get a glimpse of the cement pad where the original clubhouse was.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you play 4, which is going back that direction, no, it's 3. When you're playing 3 going back that direction, that was the finishing hole. Because it is just something spectacular. Like it's such a great golf hole.
Definitely doesn't belong, but this is awfully weird and a weird spend of the 3rd hole.
Right. It's got a great bridge. It's uphill to this big green and this big runoff. It's just a gorgeous hole. And looking back up towards the tee, it's beautiful, right? It's just a great golf hole. And you're like, yeah, exactly. Like this is the 3rd hole of the golf course. And it doesn't even, to me, the golf course doesn't really shine until you get into the last 5 or 6 holes, and then you're like, oh my God, this is just the best. But
I wish you didn't tell me that, because now, I'll be like, well, holes 1 through 5 were just okay, but blah, blah, blah. And you'd be like, I'm sorry, I did
well,
this.
that's not, I mean, I should
I
say
did
that
this. I
because
told him, I said something, and he just got it stuck in his head and couldn't
Right.
let it go.
I should say there's obviously really good holes in the front. Like hole number 2 is the par 3. That is just, I love the green complex. I love how it's protected by bunkers. It's great.
Is that the one in all the pictures?
Probably.
Okay.
Or either that or it's like 16 is very popular because 16 is a really tough par 4, elevated, pushed up green, lots of bunkers, but fingers and everything.
I think it's probably 16 that I'm thinking of.
And then 18, which is a par 5, has a lot of the same stuff going on in the fairway and as you get closer to the green. But it's
just think of this, man. You had
so fun, man.
Flossmoor, you had Olympia with 4 courses. You had Beverly.
I know.
You had Ravislow. You had Idlewild.
Calumet.
Yep. And Calumet went through so many changes and locations, whatever. God.
Yeah. The south side of the city was just.
Well, there's a whole ton of them.
Yeah.
Like more gone than are left. And there's still way too many left. You know what I mean?
Right. And then you haven't even gotten to the north side ones like Bryn Mawr, Skokie. What else is over there?
Tons of the one that I always want to get to, the bottom of the story. You have Briarwood, right? In Deerfield there.
Yeah.
I have a right there in Deerfield
over by there.
Briarwood. Hey, Bryn Mawr, how you doing?
I go to Bryn Mawr all the time and I can't get on that stupid golf course because my brother-in-law doesn't golf.
So wild.
It's such a waste.
But Briarwood, I'm confused because it's like 1960 or something.
Yeah.
Then they talk about how, oh no, it's like 100 some years old. And there's all this like, there is a history from like 1918 or whatever.
Well, it's probably like, what was the other one I played with Campbell? Shoot, that was kind of the same thing where like it was, they built it in the late 1800s, but it was only 3 holes. So it really wasn't like a golf course until
not Downers Grove.
No.
It was like,
I can't remember it now.
On Wensia? Did you play on Wensia and Lake Forest? Because that was something like that.
It was somewhere. Yeah. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I can't.
But
remember something like that.
It was like public for the first half of it. Bought it, went private. But I think that's what happened at Oakland Hills. Interestingly, Michigan, like it was private or public in the beginning, and then some point someone bought it up and turned it into the Haven. That place. Yeah. Place is wild. I mean, there's more like I will not do it on the show. There's a lot to discuss about that place off camera.
That's for our Patreon listeners.
Dude, next thing you know, AUF's gonna be like, guys, I really think we should start a Patreon. I'm like, Adam, we're all mediocre at this as it is. We don't need a Patreon. Who are you kidding? We can't keep up with that.
Then we'd have to provide like additional services, right? Isn't that the way Patreon works?
I'd be like, fine. Driving Range drinks posts no longer on their website. You can only get them on Patreon, and you're going to be paying $10 a month for me to be like, Jack and Coke's pretty cool.
Right. I have a good drink story, but I'll save that for another episode since we're already in an hour on this.
We got a lot to get through today. All right. That's a good point. Let's wrap this up. Over on the old driverangeheroes.com this week, you will find. I was going to post one review that I did not post. I'm not going to post.
Okay.
Because
ever?
No, I'm saving it for next week because of 2 things. One of our posts is about the points bet outing, hoping we can get a few more people to sign up.
Yeah.
Just punch the mic. Don't worry. Then
it's not a show until Bill punches the mic.
It really isn't. And then I should have brought the gear in here. I'm doing a Ryder Cup giveaway with driverangeheroes.com.
Okay.
It is a stretch. I do have one of the things.
Are you giving away like all your Ian Poulter stuff? Like your
never. I will be buried with that. I can't find. Oh, here it is. All right. So, as you recall, the Ryder Cup started Great Britain and Ireland versus the U.S.
Correct. Right.
And eventually expanded to Europe.
Right.
So, I see I made a cryptic Twitter message about I was going through the golf gear archives, as you are now calling it. If I'm coming over museum, that's right, correct. And like I just have so much stuff here that like, oh, I could donate it, but you get into that, like, what does First Tee need this for? What know, like they need stuff, but not this. And I go, what can I need to do something with this. And I said, all right, I've had this putter in my collection.
Oh, you're going to give away one of your putters
for years. I don't use it. It's a good putter. There's nothing wrong with it. It's like, it's never been anything I want to have. And it is it's from a company called Radius. And I don't think they even they do make a putter still, but it's not this. It's your basic answer style. But the company's based out of the UK. So I went, okay. It's a UK. I'm going to give this putter away. But then I said, wait, it's a UK based putter, Ryder Cup. What do I have around here? Then I'm looking around at things I have. Found this. My Sunday golf.
Oh yeah.
American flag towel.
Yeah.
So I have something from the US and the UK putter.
Oh, look
US
at you.
versus the UK, right?
Right.
Big stretch. But you know what?
This is something from Europe. I mean, that's easy. All you need is something from Europe, and that works. The putter is from Europe. Well, actually,
Europe by way of Florida, like 10 years ago.
Yeah, but like the UK isn't really part of Europe anymore.
Right.
But
so I was leaning into I was leaning into the GB and I business in the post. It's a big stretch and I know it. But anyway,
but you're giving something away. So that's cool.
Give away for that. We'll see what happens on that. And for the record, it's going to be just retweet and follow kind of a thing. We're not doing winning. Easy. We're not doing winning scores, tiebreakers. If there's one thing you and I know, managing these giveaway, people think the giveaways are fun. They're fun for you. They're a nightmare to organize and run. A nightmare.
Talk about feeling like you owe someone something when a winner like gets selected. You're like, oh my God, I got to get this thing out right now. I got to get it to this person.
Yeah. And you feel like, hey, this free thing I'm giving you just for fun on Twitter. Sorry, I couldn't get it out on Tuesday. I'm real busy this week. I'll get it out to you on Saturday. And 99% of the time, like, yeah, man, that's cool.
Right.
And you're like,
Chris, who was our first 500 subscriber winner, was awesome about that stuff.
Or then you're like, sorry, I broke my leg on Saturday and I can't, couldn't get it out. I'll get it out to you like Wednesday. Yeah, no, that's cool. Look, it's a free thing I want. I don't care when I get it.
Right.
But then when you have that person who's like, oh, I don't believe this person was randomly drawn or blah, blah. It's like, oh my God.
Did you? Oh, we're going to go so long.
No, I know. I got a text. Okay. I got a text chain on that one.
I was going to say.
Don't worry. Yeah, we're on the same page here. So I have that, and then we do have one Gear Talk review that will probably not make our Gear Talk show. I don't know how, but Jon reviewed the Garmin R10 portable launch monitor, a new entry into that like $500-$600 personal launch monitor range.
I'm quite interested in hearing how that one performed.
Looks sleek.
Yeah.
And it's another interesting contender. There's some interesting features in it. I'll just say this because I want you to go read it, but user experience I think will be key in what you think of it and have success with, much like the Mevo. I'm trying to think of the other one. Is it Voice Caddy that has a personal launch monitor? Same thing with them. Like all of these come down to how well do you think they perform for you? And I always say, like with Mevo, I tend to know what my numbers are like. So when I see it, I can go, I'm not buying that. Or like, yeah, no, it's about what I just hit. I can tell you just by feel and whatever. Right. So check that out. Okay. Chris, you've been a busy boy. What do you do? Some plugs.
So still the McEwen Does the News, which is still, popping with our pal John from Tour Edge. You can go and watch that about the new E522 and C522 series clubs that just came out. We got to work on the rematch, William, on that. And I think about it. We did the Big Macs What's in the Box together. You heard us last week fighting about that, or mostly Bill was just yelling at me about me being snarky and making fun of him. And then I did another, or like my first McEwen Reviews It in a very long time, on the Cleveland Launcher Halo XL. Did I get those words in the right direction?
Launcher XL Halo.
3-wood.
They hate us. Everybody in golf hates us.
Launcher XL Halo fairway wood.
Yep.
And speaking of the Mevo, I had my Mevo with me at the range, and so I got some numbers, and so you can compare your swing speeds to my swing speeds and that sort of thing. And that's what I've been up to.
It's a lot of content for you guys.
And I'm gonna head out. I'm heading out on my last golf trip of the year today, as this video drops. I'm probably on the road as you're watching this, viewers.
Look at that. All right. Yeah. That's a lot to consume. And gosh darn it, we got more coming. All right.
That's right.
That's Chris McEwen. This is his YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, you like, you do all the things. Follow him at Chris McEwen on all the social medias. I'm Bill Bush, driverangeheroes.com, at Range Heroes, wherever you want to follow us. Greatly appreciate it. That was That Range Life episode 86. Folks, we'll see you next time.